what is known as the rule of law, which is the essential ingredient of development. Without rule of law, there is no development, and without development, there is no progress, and there is no peace. This is the reason for our work. As U.S. citizens that come from both shores of the Caribbean basin, we would like our hemisphere to be a beacon of light in a world where the negative impacts of globalization seem to have taken hold. Every day we read in the press that crime, international organized crime runs rampant. We also learn about drug trafficking and also that money laundering and terrorist finance that targets our financial system. And arms trade furnishes weapons to terrorist organizations everywhere. The Americas, however, have so far made important progress in the execution of the international framework to fight these scourges, as well as the application of the principles of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And we would like this progress to continue. But this can only happen if we address the corrosive effects of the so-called 21st century socialism over democratic institutions. Nations promoting this political system have silently spread the seeds of trouble in the yet fragile democracies of Latin America. They aim at subsuming all institutions to the will of a caudillo. Achieving this goal demands to place all powers under the command of the executive, which is completely different as separation of powers. It's the opposite road. Alexis de Tocqueville warned the world about the dangers of socialism, particularly when it wears the robes of democracy. And I quote, "Democracy and socialism have nothing in common but one word, equality. But notice the difference. While democracy seeks equality in liberty, socialism seeks equality in restraint and servitude." End of the quote. President Correa of Ecuador clearly underlined the vision of the 21st century socialism when he indicated, and I quote, "The President of the Republic, listen to me and listen very well, is not only the head of the executive branch, he's the head of the entire Ecuadorian branch, of the Ecuadorian state. It is the executive branch, the legislative branch, the judicial branch, the electoral branch, the transparency and social control branch, the offices of the superintendents, the attorney general, the controller. That is the Ecuadorian state." So we must all agree that this vision would have been enthusiastically supported by world-known authoritarians from Genghis Khan to Adolf Hitler. This is precisely what makes the practice of slowly corroding the judiciary so dangerous for our democracies. In a world marked by profound transformation, the only road to progress is inclusion. But for people to be included, they need to be respected as human beings, as citizens, as toilers of a common land. In order for this to happen, they have to be equal in front of the law, and their rights need to be guaranteed. The Inter-American Institute for Democracy and the Inter-American Bar Association aim at contributing to this end by means of conducting research that leads to a strengthening of the rule of law, which starts with the separation of powers, because this is the best way to protect freedom and to seal in development. Development is no longer a choice in our hemisphere, but it's a necessity. So, because we need the U.S., which is the engine of growth, to restructure its economy, counting on Latin America as its trading partner and as a generator of inputs for a relaunched manufacturing sector that creates meaningful jobs. These interactions, which are essential to break the cycle of economic decay and democratic dissolution in the Americas, have to rest in an everyday stronger rule of law. Economic institutions are critical for determining whether a country is poor or prosperous. But it is politics and political institutions that determine what economic institutions a country has. In addressing the Andean Corporation for Development Annual Conference, Vice President Biden recently indicated, and I quote, "No democracy can be sustained without economic growth, And economic growth cannot flourish in the absence of rule of law. It's sort of the new physics of economic relationships. Businesses do not invest in nations where the rules are not transparent and predictable, where the court system is not fair, where intellectual property is not protected. At the Inter-American Institute for Democracy and the Inter-American Bar Association, we are doing our part in fighting for democratic freedom. We trust that you will do yours. Thank you so much for being with us today.